His forearm.
We comparing?
Jesus, criminy. What is going on, Armtillery gang in the house? I got the strongest real estate agent known to man. Definitely the strongest hand, but and I would be willing to bet. I'm sure there's like a million arm wrestlers. I'm sorry, real estate agents that are arm wrestlers. You know what I mean?
Right.
I made this joke when I was kind of like in that industry that everybody's got their real estate license in their back pocket, you know, just in case. But I'd love to have like just a tournament of nothing but real estate agents, and I bet you fucking would kill it, bro.
That could be fun, man, for sure.
But Steve West, everybody, the one and the only, out of Coach West, Scott West's camp, Wild West Arms. That's just fitting for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a little intriguing when I found out that Coach had the same last name as me. I'm like, huh.
I get a shirt with my last name all over it and a nickname, and yeah, it's pretty dope. Big shout out to Scott West, big mutual friend of ours. How long have you known Scott, and how did you guys meet?
I think we're going on a little over 8 months now, actually.
Okay.
And we met because we had a mutual friend that I saw on Facebook was going over there for arm wrestling, and the mutual friend and I actually worked together when I was running operations for auto glass companies at car washes.
Oh, okay.
Once I saw that there was someone there that I knew, I guess I just felt a little bit more, calm and like at ease about going over to someone's house and doing this type of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it was a long time coming, man. I tell everyone now I kind of kick myself in the butt because I was always a bar arm wrestler growing up, and I finally did a competition in remembrance of my father back in 2019 after he passed away. My uncle was like, hey, they're doing the Roadrunner thing in January. You have to do this in remembrance of him. And I said, cool, I'll do it. And I ended up placing with both right and left arm. And then I had a couple of clubs reaching out to me. Wayne was reffing. I'm sure that everyone knows who he is on this.
Wayne Arsenault here in Arizona. Okay.
Yeah. He was one that was like, come hang, come train. And I just didn't really, if I'm being completely honest, I didn't take it seriously at the time, so I let 3.5 years go by before I saw my buddy Martin Lee over at Scott West's house. And I said, hey, I'll come over. And then I came and Martin wasn't there. And
shout out to Martin Stanley, one of my last super matches that whooped my ass. Big strong monster gorilla ass.
He's a big
he's a amateur, probably close to pro bodybuilder now. The dude is just a jacked human
for sure.
So, shout out to him.
So yeah, I think what made me take it as seriously as I am now is just being humbled. Going up against a guy like Scott or like anyone else that I've trained with. I mean, pulling you've been very intellectual and helpful in sport. Absolutely, man. Yeah, credit where it's due. I'm not the type to just put my feet in the pool. I jump all the way in. So.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'm in.
Well, I think that's super cool because, I think you learn in your first probably year or so the difference between the average weekend puller, someone who just goes to practices every weekend for the fun of it, and then somebody who's actually like taking the sport seriously, training for it, has a table, has a pulley system, focuses on those types of exercises over, bodybuilding style or powerlifting. I mean, powerlifting translates to a lot more than bodybuilding does, but anything strength related is a plus in arm wrestling. But you see people with weird handles at the gym, and you see them doing these weird, funky things, and I think you start to realize the levels of, I think I always say that there's only 2 levels stated, but I always think that there's 3 levels, and there's amateurs, there's pros, and then it's not stated, but I think there's a 3rd level, which would be elite, which would be like a world level, someone who you go to a tournament and you're placing top 3, if not first, in pretty much every tournament you go to in your weight class. That's in a world elite level. But pro is like a massive, massive class, or a massive, massive portion. You spend a lot of time in your pro phase. But that's kind of where I'm going at with you. Is it's been an interesting journey for you because I think less than a year that you've been in the sport seriously, training, tournaments, practices, that kind of thing. And for the most part, pretty much already at what we would consider a pro level here in Arizona, I can say, from someone who felt pretty much everyone that takes arm wrestling seriously. This is someone that you should take seriously in arm wrestling. Yeah. And I think a lot of it comes from natural ability. I think a lot of it comes from things that came before arm wrestling, which is a really good thing because you're able to now focus on the arm wrestling side of things, already having a backpack or a experience of strength come to it. So tell me, before arm wrestling was ever around, what was like your introduction to strength? Was it bodybuilding style stuff? Was it powerlifting style stuff that you were doing?
I wouldn't say it was either one of those things, to be honest with you. I came from, I guess, an MMA background.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, trained for a while. My father, he was Golden Gloves in the Marine Corps, so he taught me how to box growing up, and it was a love of my life. Up until 2010, I was in a bad car wreck that caused herniated discs in my C5, C6, C7.
Damn.
Game for 10 months.
Damn.
Tried to get back in. Yeah. Tried to get back in, got caught in a guillotine, neck popped again.
Oh.
And and the wife is like, you're done. So at that point, I was like, well, I'm the type of person that just at least likes to stay in shape.
Yeah.
And so I'd find myself in the gym. I've always had a decent diet with nutrition and everything, not going balls to the wall with the food that I eat when I go out to restaurants and stuff often.
Right.
And again, my father and my uncle, they were just real big arm wrestlers growing up, especially my uncle, if I'm being honest.
Oh, okay.
He's 180 pounds wet, man. And he used to go to the bar and arm wrestle heavyweights and smash. I think he was like 48 years old before I beat him. And now he's 58. So it's only been 10 years. I guess I was 25, 26 the first time that I beat him. And
cool. Big hand or what?
Huh?
Big hand?
Uncle? No, just pure strength.
Interesting.
Just pure strength, man. It's
for anyone that doesn't know and that hasn't felt Steve's definite strength is his hand. It's not necessarily a super massive in size as far as like length, long fingers, or a long gap or anything like that. It's like a rock. The thumb is like a rock. His fingers are like sausage rocks, real thick, and they are strong. So I always just feel like whenever I'm talking about someone in your genetic line or in your relatives, it would just run amok. Even the girls have just like these solid rock for hands in your family,
Yeah, that was definitely my dad's side.
Okay, cool.
For like clarification, I wear a size 12 ring. My dad wore a 16 and his dad wore an 18. So
I can't even imagine arm wrestling your grandfather.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean?
My great uncle Gene, like that, like you said, it's all genetics on my dad's side with that. And then I just happen to know that my mom's side of the family was always just really good with arm wrestling too. But my great uncle Gene, my dad's uncle, he used to, when he was a teenager, he would go to the park and he would bet people to make money by bending horseshoes with his hands. And it's like I could never do that, No,
it's like the stories you hear of like Corey West going and just like grabbing a padlock or a master lock and just snapping it off the.
Yeah,
that's just nuts. That's just scary. Scary strength, but it is mostly genetics. That it comes from in the hand and the wrist. I'm sure you've heard it a million times. I think you even have a joke about it when usually someone's like, well, what do you do? Are you a plumber or are you an electrician or something like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, usually what it is.
I sell houses.
Yeah. Right. Or no, who told you the I move houses?
I flip houses.
Flip houses. Yeah, literally with my hands.
Now on, you got to say I flip houses.
Yeah, for real. Play on words.
Yeah.
Okay, so like now, like we were just talking about, what does your training look like now that arm wrestling is the full focus, the forefront of what you do? Take us through kind of a daily training routine of what you go through.
Well, I'm really happy to have a table now, which I'm on at the moment.
Yeah,
in the garage.
nice.
And got all the fun gear.
Okay, nice.
So I've definitely transitioned into more of like an arm wrestling training situation, pulley systems on the table and everything else. When I go
Right.
to the gym, I'm more concentrated on like static holds and stuff like that. Instead of like, you don't see me doing bench often anymore. You
Shout
see me
out to
doing a lot
Scott
of
West in the
good
chat.
stuff. Yeah. And that was a transition too, man, because like I'm normally not the type of person that care about what people think about me when I'm at the gym.
Right.
But then, like you said, you're doing all these different weird positions inside there, and they're looking at you like you're, in Planet Fitness. Like, what is this guy doing?
You're on the next gym talk compilation of weirdos.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it all relates. It all makes sense now, and I don't mind. So I would say that more so than anything. And then
That's
just
cool.
having a lot of room on the table at home now in the garage.
Yeah, definitely helps. I think training at home is the level up. I get a good workout at the gym, depending on what I'm doing, what day it is, that kind of stuff. But there's nothing like having a table, a pulley system, handles at your reach, within a few minutes. And the more you are doing lifts on a table in arm wrestling positions, it just fortifies the form, the technique, how you're doing things. So huge. Glad that you got a table, because that will just. I've told you a million times, it's not your strength that you need to work on. It's your form and your technique, your stance, how you move when you lose, which we'll go over today. We'll talk about a lot today. We're going to go over some of your matches. Your matches are uploaded, so we'll do that in a sec.
Cool.
And then
what's up, Scott?
Yeah, shout out to Scott West in the chat. So before we do though, so tell us about some of your goals now that you've seen the landscape of Arizona. You've had a few tournaments under your belt now. Speaking of which, we're going to be looking over his matches from Utah, which was 2 weeks ago now, I think. It's all blur.
Yeah.
And then this past weekend was Battle of the Brave, which was a local Arizona tournament. Shout out to Dustin Allen and Greg Brown for helping throw that. That was a phenomenal, amazing event.
They did a great job. And shout out to you too for your reffing, man. You did a fantastic job.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it was definitely like my coming out party as far as reffing goes. I felt in control. I felt like everyone there respected me. I felt like it was a better performance that I've put on before, but I definitely have some stuff to work on. You can't really see a little bit, but like we're all dying from the sunburn that we have from standing in the sun for staring at it for 5 hours, but all worth it. So yeah, so we'll go over a few of those, but tell us about your goals, kind of things that you're planning on getting into, things you're doing, opponents that you've got in mind, that kind of thing.
I would definitely say my number one and number two goal right now has to do with the way that I'm pulling and my endurance. Okay. So definitely getting more technical on the table, being faster on the table, and then being able to endure more pain and more brutality because, 4, 5, 6 matches in a day, I go home and my tendons, 8 months ago, I couldn't tell you what pronation was versus supination. Right. And now knowing what tendons are hurting and what to do and, how to recoup from that.
Yeah.
I just want to have more longevity on the table. When it comes to my goals in competitions, now that I've won a third, a second, and a first, I think that I would say that I'm pretty convinced in myself that I'm going to start, as long as I can get the longevity part down, that I'm going to start pulling AMs and pros at every competition I do until I find myself, achieving first, second, or third on the pro level often. And then I'm just going to strictly go to pros and continue to climb in hopes that I can get to that elite level before I'm 40.
So, nice.
Yeah.
And how long is that?
I'll be 36 next month.
Okay, cool. You definitely achievable. I think that someone like you who comes into the sport with a genetic advantage, we refer to them as freaks. Someone who comes in and they're kind of like a Khaled or like a Joseph that we know, where it's like it's just like you're in kind of your own lane. And I wouldn't say that you're like as freaky as Joseph, or Khaled by any means, but like you still have
all the respect in the world to those guys for sure.
For sure, dude. Especially Joseph, our homie.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Morento. But I just mean like when you have something like a thick, strong hand and you didn't necessarily train it to get it, I can only imagine what it's like to eventually train it and what that will be like. If you get if you get what I'm saying, there's just a crazy amount of potentials that's there. So for instance, man. For instance, one of the guys I was working out with today is Josiah. I'm sure you know and you met Josiah. And
yeah, man.
17 years old, biceps popping out his polo. It's like genetics. For whatever reason, the kid is just meant for huge, massive hand, just meant for arm wrestling, right?
Real long hand for sure. And the first time that I met him was at one of your practices a few months back. And I did grip up, and obviously it's practice, so we're not trying to kill each other or anything, you know. I'm just feeling out his strength, and I'm like, all right, he's pretty strong, you know, for a 17-year-old. And then I watched him at Battle of the Brave, and he was just loading up and running through people, man. And I was really impressed with him, very impressed with him. So shout out to Josiah, bro.
Brings a tear to my eye to watch. It was so beautiful.
That's your protege, huh?
That's my prodigy right there. That's my little man. I think that like for someone who, when I first met him, he was 16. He's just turned 17 fairly recently, I believe. And when I met him, I was like, dude, what are you into? Like if you're doing basketball or like football or baseball or something, like, and you've got like 6-7 years on that, I was like, don't do this sport. I was like, stay away from arm wrestling right now. I was like, you've got so many years. I was like, just do that for a little bit. Do this every like once a month or something like that, just for the fun of it, right? He looks at me and goes, dude, I'm not doing anything. And I was like, perfect, right? And now that he's kind of gotten that addiction to finding out, man, I'm not too bad at this. Sky's the limit for the kid. At his age, his size of his hand, working out with him today, some impressive lifts for him. So yeah, dude, I love to see that. And I'm sure I'll have him on eventually and we'll talk to him about his wins and stuff like that. But same thing with you, man. It's just like, when these new people come into the sport and they kind of shock the system a little bit, they kind of bring waves to the scene. It's awesome to see, and it's fun to put a highlight on, if you will. So when we do go over the matches, take everything with kind of, you know, a grain of salt, if you will, knowing that it's like, man, well, yeah, and that's kind of what you're saying with your goals is how you want to take this and where you want to go with it is how to fix those things. So that's kind of where I felt like my strength is, where I can come in and kind of help you with is like the technicalities of things. Now, I will say always, it's very easy to look at something in retrospect and say, oh man, I should have done this or I should have done that. Sure. So like when I say though, if I say like, oh man, something like that, obviously you probably have thought a lot of it too, but I want to let you kind of take the reins on that to kind of say, hey, this is where I would have done this, how I could have done this. If you have any questions, obviously. Sure. But let's see if I can get us into that little match here. Okay, let's see. Your videos. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Go ahead and play this. Okay. So I'm going to share the screen real quick.
Okay.
Share. Okay, can you see yourself?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, let's do this.
Mata.
This. Okay, cool. So you can still see both of us here at the bottom.
Yep.
But that will be the focus here. So this is from Battle of the Brave. This is Jesus Mata, extremely strong hand and wrist, getting better technically every time I see him. Has two younger brothers, Donald and Elmer, that are extremely good arm wrestlers for their age and size. And I'm sure he is a good majority of the reason why.
Yeah.
So let's take a look here. Good high knuckles, very tight to your elbows, looking super strong. A little bit of back pressure there. Curl on the thumb, love it. Beautiful. Looks great.
Thank you. So that was the second time that Mata and I gripped up. We had originally gripped up in the regular rounds. This grip was for first and second place in our weight class. And he did feel super strong, but the first time that we went, he slipped. And if I'm giving away something right now about myself, I hate it when people slip. I'll try to hold on or rip your thumb off before I want to let go. And that'll normally hurt the inside of here a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
So when we came up to 1 and 2, I just kind of figured that he was going to want to slip out of it. And I'm like, hey, you want to go straight to the strap? And he said, yes. And I feel like I'm pretty strong in the strap, just my hand and wrist. And if I were to change anything about that match there, I would say engage the wrist a little faster with the cup and don't separate so much, and try to stay super tight. Because I feel like I did separate a little bit, but I was able to hold on.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go take a look back here. And then what we can do is play this in a slower playback speed. We'll do half. So unfortunately, at this point here is when you really got to start engaging the wrist. And now I'm telling you this as I'm reffing you, but kind of illegal. You kind of, in a ref's grip, when someone is closing the last person's hand, you have to be able to match whatever intensity they have brought because you're closing your hand last. It's a little bit of a disadvantage, in my opinion, to close your hands last in a ref's grip, but you have to be able to match that. So I understand what you're saying, but probably easier said than done.
Okay.
Especially as far as like snap goes. I mean, you're probably cupping as hard as you can at this point. I mean, look at the strain in your face. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So I think as long as your index finger knuckle is as high as his or up to the same height as his, you're going to win because of the hand advantage. Now, as far as staying open, let's take a look. So you right there, you start to kind of open up at the very... So at this point, I can't see the elbow pad very much, but you probably have a little bit of a lat drag. Yeah. And I think what you're doing is you're trying to go from your index knuckle to the top of your delt, more of like a hammer curl, bringing that kind of pressure back, where if you bring a little bit of lat pressure back, it's gonna bring you under a little bit, but as long as you stay high knuckles as you do it and kind of suck them down under.
Stay tight.
Yeah, man, Jesus is super strong. So, I mean, it is what it is, right? But beautiful. No loss of hand control at all. Oh, and what I was going to say earlier about what you were saying is with your hand is, you're going to get that a lot. With having a strong hand, man, you're going to have a lot of people bail on you. You're going to have a lot of people run into the straps. Yeah. You're going to have a lot of people ask you if they can go straight to the straps with you because they feel like they can manipulate it better than you because they know your strength is a hand. Now, back to what you said about holding on to people's thumbs. Have you ever heard of Devin Larratt telling or heard him ever say, I'm not going to hold on to you, or I don't hold on to people, or that kind of thing? It's because it's a waste of energy. It's a waste of strength. It's a waste of I've not injured myself, but I've hurt my fingers a lot from slipping. Yeah. Because all the pressure's on the back, the end, and you're letting go. You know what I mean? I've slapped my hand on the table as I've slipped. It sucks, bro. Yeah. So, you're going to get that a lot. So in my opinion, what you could do is every time you go to a practice, just like you've seen me do it. I don't even give people an option. I'm just putting the straps on before they even ask. You know what I mean? Right. Get incredible at the straps so that you're great in both. We already know you got a strong hand. You know what I mean? Now and you, like you were saying, you're already strong in the straps, but I think what there's to learn is like the cheats in the straps. For sure. You know what I mean? Manipulating it a little bit, finding out how to do that kind of stuff, depending on your style, whether you want to go inside, whether you want to go outside, that kind of thing. Yeah. So Now, this is Will Pennington, another real strong human, more of an inside puller presser, if you will. I think we're at half speed again, so let's take a look here.
Okay. Is this where he slipped the first time?
I am not sure. I just uploaded whatever you gave me. People in the chat, I see there's 5 of us. Please throw some pythons up in the live chat. Shout out to Steve West. Like, share this video, please, so it gets some love. Thank you guys very much. Okay, let's see here. His knuckles are lower than yours. He runs right into that strong hand. And, I mean, I would have done the same thing. I would have held onto that thumb too. Looks great. Put him through a little bit. You know, some people say make him pay, you know?
Yeah, this was the second pull, actually, because the first one, same thing happened. But I held onto the thumb probably 3 inches off the pad for about 10 seconds, which was way too long. And I finally just told myself, I'm going to let go. We can go to the strap. It turns out that he actually elbow fouled in the first one.
Oh,
so they just put us back on this way. And then I kind of figured he was going to slip again. So I let go a lot faster.
That makes sense. Okay. So there's a inevitable slip to come here again, you mean?
No. That you can go ahead and fast forward. You're going to put us in the straps on this one.
Oh, am I? Oh, yeah. Okay. So let's look at this one more time, because what I want to say to you with that is right here. When you've got a hold of someone's hand comfortably, you know it's slipping, you know it's starting to slip and go that way, but you've got a grasp on that thumb. The move that you want to do is, as it starts to go this way, you want to transition into a press. Because what's going to happen is they don't have enough side press. Like, he's under the table, bro. You know what I mean? He doesn't have enough side pressure to hurt you for you to start transitioning to go inside. So what you want to do is grab a hold of that thing, start moving your shoulder forward, and then it becomes just a straight down to the pad. You know what I mean? Gotcha. With your hand, dude, it's what they call the exploding hand technique. Okay. And the reason is because Cobra Rhodes back in the day used to hold on to people's thumbs. He would not let them go. And he would – Giannis Omlins. Have you ever heard of Coach Ray and Giannis?
Giannis, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he blew Giannis's thumb apart in here.
Yeah.
The webbing here tore apart from it.
Yeah.
Hold on, as long as it isn't stressing my hand and I feel like I could still potentially win. Yeah. So kind of like what I was saying, the fine line between Devin and what I'm telling you now is, if you can, it's like I remember watching the video or watching you reffing, thinking that maybe he does do this, but you just kind of, you don't even need to adjust on the hand, a little bit of like climb on the hand.
Yep.
But it's more of getting it to where you're like on it, like you're on top of their hand. And if you slip, you're slipping like on the press going down towards your pad. So it's a little bit more taxing on them, a little bit more make you pay type style, if you will.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Okay, let's get you in the straps here. Okay.
I don't know with the down ref right there if you're going to be able to see or not, but he turned sideways right away, puts his foot up on the peg.
Yes.
I kind of figured he was going to go into a press based on the first pull.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Very, very front forward based arm wrestler. I don't think he does it out of like, I don't want to say desperation, but like as a secondary option or anything like that. Because like when you watch him trying to slip, it's kind of like over the open top roll that he's trying to get out of your hand in, but then he comes in here and does a press. So, but I've only seen him press in competition, and it's pretty dirty. It's pretty nasty. I'm not gonna lie. So it looks like basically hand control from the get-go, a little bit of side pressure. You didn't even need to crack the wrist. You just kind of blow right through his side, his elbow. I'd love to see your elbow if Leander's big head wasn't in the way, but This kind of position here, driving, very strong position. I don't have that. I have to bust the wrists first and then kind of work from there. But that is as textbook and as beautiful as it gets right there.
Thank you.
I think you got some weight on Will Pennington, I would say. He's probably closer to like 180-ish, 185-ish maybe.
Yeah, and I'm
shout out to Will Pennington
right now.
Yeah. This is Jesse Halleck. Hold on one sec. Let me
shout out to Jesse, man. He's a great individual. And we all know that we're going to hit the table again sometime soon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The good thing about Jesse is he's always up for a competition. He's always competitive. I just spent like 5-6 hours with him in the last 2 days. So
nice.
Probably no one I spend more time with as far as the arm wrestling group other than Jesse Halleck. Shout out to Jesse. But
absolutely.
As long as I've been on the scene, me and Jesse have kind of been right there with each other.
Yeah.
Kind of always been rivals, kind of always had something for each other. And Ed was in that mix, and then Ed just took off and went off. You know what I mean? So we want to keep you right there. You're not. We can't have you doing this whole Ed stuff, bro. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually going into this match, if I can, really quick. I was pissed because Jesse and I lined up. This, by the way, guys, is at the Utah State Championships. And Jesse and I had lined up probably 20 minutes prior to this match. And the ref, shout out to all refs. So they're all trying to do a good job. But unfortunately, there was some discrepancies between, Jesse's moves, moving the hand and everything else, and they fouled him out. We didn't even get to pull. And I remember walking away from the table just really pissed off because that was one of two of my goals at that, tournament was to pull Jesse and to pull you, John, because you said, you guys are there right next to each other. And I felt like that's, where I need to be. Really unfortunate. We didn't pull right. We pulled left. You killed it. But I was really happy that I had to actually get the second opportunity with Jesse here.
Yeah, and so we're not going to show the garbage between you two and Justin Green because it's another video I could make in itself. Watching Jesse get fouled off of fouls before you guys even get a ready go, like you were saying, pretty disheartening. I will say, from someone who loves Jesse to death, that motherfucker just cheats his ass off, though. He does. He cheats a lot. In the setup, he's trying to get everything he can. It's very evident, and Justin Green is not having it.
It could be an issue for me on my side because I didn't feel anything, and I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. It's like, I didn't feel you foul. But then weeks later, I think it was actually at Battle of the Brave, and we were talking about it, and he's like, I might have just gone like that, And I'm like, all right, that's cool. But
enough for Justin Green to have said something, not a big deal. But what it comes down to is it doesn't matter, as you'll see here. If you feel comfortable in your grip for the way that you arm wrestle, then go with it. Because I very much feel that arm wrestling is a feel sport. You do things as you feel. I could arm wrestle with my eyes closed just because of everything I'm doing. I'm feeling more than there is a sense of seeing. Don't get me wrong. You do need your eyes, but I just mean there's a lot of feel that you get. And so there's a lot of knowledge to me about how someone else is cheating you, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to do all the cheats or do all this jumbo mumbo. You do where your lane takes you, what makes you comfortable, and then a little bit of counter for whatever they're doing, and then you run with it. And you find out how that goes. You know what I mean? Especially when it's something like an amateur tournament in something like your weight class where you're very comfortable. I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to run into too many amateurs across the country that are as strong as you in their first tournament kind of thing. You know what I mean? We're going to either know who they are prior to or something along those lines.
Gotcha.
So let's go back to this match here. So you can see Jesse's already got a cocked wrist, already a little bit of carve in him. So you're trying to get adjusted. Now, Jesse's got a very strong hand himself.
Yeah, he does.
And
I was trying to get my hand high enough to where I can fight that a little bit.
So at this point, now you guys have completely covered each other's knuckles. There is no thumb knuckles. And I don't know this well enough, but I would be willing to guess he's going to ask you if that's okay for you guys, or he's just going to let it go.
Hey, I'm pretty sure he said, "Are you both are high? Are you okay with it?" And I was like,
Okay.
"Yeah, dude, let's get it because we want to get it."
Now Jesse just sucks because he had high knuckles on you. He technically had pronation on you. He could have rolled out. I don't know why, whether or not it was your grip that grabbed his thumb, but I would have been running to the straps if I was him.
He'll be the first one to tell you, and you'll see it as you go forward. He did try to roll out right there. He tried to roll out. I just wouldn't let go.
I think it's just too late.
Yeah.
I think it's just too late. I'd have been trying to slip out right there. I'd have been letting go with all my finger pressure, rise up, and just, it's gonna hurt.
Sure.
It's gonna hurt. But once you realize that your wrist, because by this point his wrist is compromised. Let's go like this. Like this. By this point, his wrist is compromised. He doesn't have fingers because you can see his fingers are doing this.
Yeah.
They're not doing this. He doesn't have you in a tabletop. He has you in a crimp. So his fingers are not going to hold up. His wrist is starting to go at this point, and knowledge-wise, and this is just for you to know, like you ever get in this point. Let go. Bail. You're going this way. You're going towards the losing way. Bail. You know what I mean? Get out of there. So let's find out how it ends. Same thing right there. You see the wrist go?
Yeah.
Make a dive. Now I think what he does, he thinks he has enough roll to get out, but dive, like get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or dump or one of these. You know what I mean? At this point you're going here.
Dump out. Yeah.
Under. You can go under, or because he's going to try to do this and he can't do that.
Right.
So the next best would be here, but you don't know that in the match time. You're just losing to a really strong hand. That's all.
That's one thing I am noticing, especially with these matches now that I'm transitioning into the sport a little bit at a higher level, I guess, is I need to be very cognitive, if you will, when I'm at the table and just remembering these are the steps, like based on foot placement, based on grip, based on this, based on that.
Absolutely, Steve. So if you go and watch my shorts on Armtillery, shout out to Armtillery, the best arm wrestling channel in the planet. Dustin Allen talks, there's like a little short and it's in black and white. And Dustin talks about, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's everything is a part of the match 3 minutes before the first ready go. Walking up to the table, how you prepare your mind, what side of the table you want. I was super surprised. I was reffing at Battle of the Brave. I had a coin on the table and not a single person took advantage of the buckle side.
Yeah, I didn't. And again, that's the immature part of me in this sport is that when Mata and I went up for first and second, he said, "Can we flip for the side?" And I didn't know what that meant. I figured it's even on both sides. I just said, "Pick your side. I don't care."
Right. Well, and when you're strong enough to say, I don't think the buckle is going to matter, then there you go. But when it comes down to is there is a strategy in everything that you do. How you set up gives away how you're going to pull. The leg up, like you were saying with Will Penn. There's just so many indicators that you can get from somebody watching them walk up to the table, watching their setup. Do they ramp themselves up like me and Dino? Do they scream? Do they get all antsy? Are they cool, calm, and collected? Do they do that every time? Do they do that not every time? It's like watching film. I feel like arm wrestling is as much of any other sport it is where you watch your opponents, you find out how they arm wrestle, you take them seriously. If I'm not taking any matches or looking forward to anyone that I can bust their ass, and I know that I can. You know what I mean? I want tests. I want people that are going to be either in front of me or a test for me, right?
Yeah.
And with that, you want to perform your highest. So it would just be stupid and silly and immature to think that at the next level or at the highest level, you can just walk in and smoke somebody. Especially just being strong. And so like at the amateur level, very much so. But at the pro level, when people are 5, 10 years in,
It's a different
strength gaps aren't so much as important as technical and experience gaps
Right.
then become, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, man. I agree with you 100%. Being at Utah States and in that weight class, only pulling ams, not pulling pros, and then watching the pros pull, I'm like, I probably wouldn't have placed. I would just,
Yeah, oh no,
you know,
dude, that was my thought process going in. I'm like looking at the lay of the land for my weight. I'm like, Edo's going to be there, Eric Wolf's going to be there,
yeah,
Jordan Sill's going to be there. Cool. So I don't place. If Jesse and Steve both pull pros, cool. So I'm looking at like a potential 7th if things don't go well. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the lay of the land, and that's it's kind of, you kind of go through, like, it's kind of like a haircut. You know when you get a haircut and you go through the ugly phase?
Yep.
It's the same. Shout out. Okay, so everyone that doesn't know, Steve had to shave his head because Hermes got 2 wins or technicalities
on, but yeah, I said that Hermes wouldn't get any.
So he lost his bet.
Yeah.
So, but what I'm saying is, like, you go through this ugly phase in arm wrestling too, where you go from being a really, really, really good amateur, and during that time of being a really, really, really good amateur, you're a shit pro. You're just getting reamed the whole time you're in the pro class divisions, but no amateurs can screw with you. You know what I mean? So you're in this kind of like phase, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Okay, so let's continue, Steve. Now, the cool thing about this is Jesse's strong, but at this point, he's starting to roll and your hand is not moving. So let's see if you can notice what I'm talking about. Is when you get to a certain liver point, right here, your arm won't move from this position. What'll happen is Jesse will give out in his roll, and the pressure from you in this position will do it. But you could even, and what I mean, in your first place match, you could. I would love to see you try to stand up from here with your hand control.
Yeah.
Grab that index finger, like, just, and cup the hell out of it. Stand up on a press and just all your weight down, because you got a strong upper body, shoulder, chest too. So I think that's the next transitional move for you, is you take someone's hand, they're looking to bail, and like that exploding hand technique, like I'm saying, just stand up and just fall on it, you know?
Ever since Utah State, that's been something that I'm really concentrating on more than anything, because more so than just like my first place match that I lost based on the fact that I couldn't stand back up. Going against you, Lefty, and watching your body control and knowing that we're stalemated for a second there, so you just loaded up and you were able to do that, stand up, load up, and then press through. It's like, I need to learn how to do that now. You know, I need to learn how to not have all my strength all the way down here and not be able to turn it. You know, so that's definitely something I'm working on.
Right. Once again, all staying connected so that when a how do I say this? Not a diversity, but like when a problem or something comes your way, you staying as one and staying connected allows you to transition better. So when you were winning against Jesse, you were technically kind of separated. You were kind of like out here a little bit, to where your elbow is not connected to your lat. You're not kings moving because you're winning, but you're kind of like out here with the drag finishing here rather than finishing here. Does that make sense? And you can actually tell the difference between, here, watch, I'll show you, because we have it up right now. What better time to do it than right now? And now this is probably, what I'm saying is probably the difference between the back pressure of Jesse and Jesus. Jesse's a little bit stronger, so he might put you out of position a little bit more. But basically what I'm saying is you could stay connected at this point right here. A little bit of elbow drag to your lat.
Right.
Stand up a little bit higher with your fingers a little bit higher on a rise, and then you can fall back down again. So it's easier of a win for you. But what I'm saying is you get to this point right here, so you're open.
Yep.
Elbow is not connected to the lat anymore. You're open from index finger to delt. So that position's open a little bit, right? So if we go back to right here and we watch how you come down, watch how connected everything is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, very much.
Little bit of a difference. You know what I mean? A little bit more connected to that lat in there, a little bit more. Now you do open up there at the end.
Right. But I think the difference is from this and this, from Jesus to Jesse.
Yes.
You know?
Yes. And not only here to here, but here to here.
Yeah.
That's another lever, because if you can trap your elbow inside that lat, and anytime you lose, let me see if I can stand up and do it, but anytime you lose, you start to go this way instead of out. Because if you're out here, you're on your bicep. But if you're out here, you can kind of transition and swing type deal, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go back past Jesse. This one is an easy win for Mr. Steve, I believe.
This was my first match in Utah, and walking up, knowing that the weight classes were a little different, I was probably on like the lower end of the weight classes. I think these went up to, what was it, 235?
Yeah.
Right. I walked up on this guy, and I right away, I'm just thinking to myself, damn, that human's got at least 20 pounds on me. And I was like, I can't mess around. Like, I just got to go fast. Like, there's no giving him nothing. I don't know this guy from Adam, so I'm just going to go.
In tournaments, you got to think fast. It's got to be quick, because you got so many matches that are happening so quickly over a short span of time. You got to try to get them over with quickly. The more battles you're in and the wars you're in, your day just looks like crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do – sorry. Here. Beautiful hand control immediately. That's what got you the win. I mean, crack the wrist back immediately with ease. And you know what you were talking about earlier with Jesus is achieving that immediate – I'm going to sneeze.
Yeah, little cup.
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Woo!
God bless you.
Thank you. I knew it was coming. But I think this is what you're talking about here. I think this is the achievement of what you're talking about here. Just immediate. Just tell your cup was just too much. Too much cup, too much pronation right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he even loses real pretty. He doesn't open up. He stays to his lat. It's pretty much just his elbow his hand that opens up straight to the pad. So you could tell that, you know, your hand was just too much for him.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, because that was easy. That was beautiful technical work right there. Mr. Donnie Martinez. Shout out to Donnie Martinez.
Donnie, it was great meeting you, bro.
It sure was. You were a great photographer, and he's got a strong hand. I think what it comes down to is kind of like what I was telling you. He was hanging on to me. He could have made a transition with a press on me and probably took me out, but allowed me to kind of wrench with my thumb and get a slip out. But I think also I think a year in. So I'm going to say your hand is too much in the setup right now. That's why he's adjusting. A little cock of the wrist to a rise, and we're off to the races. And he looks comfortable, but so do you. Too much. Now, I mean, we can look at that again. Greg in the chat.
Oh no, you were going to our next video. I just saw him.
Yeah. So for everyone that doesn't know, this is my next opponent in April.
I can't wait to see that, man.
Greg Brown. So, do you remember what the slip looked like between you two?
I don't, to be honest with you. I don't. Okay. I just know that they put us in the strap. This is left hand. It was my first match left hand. His first match left hand also. and I didn't know what to expect from him. You know what? Now that I think about it, we were paused up in the middle, I want to say for like a good 3 or 4 seconds, and then we just both slipped out.
Yeah.
Both of our hands hit the side of the mat, and then we said, all right, let's put it in the strap and go. All the intensity in the world on this one, man, because I really wanted to get the W.
Yeah. So it looks like we're just fighting for high knuckles right now.
Oh yeah, big time. And then if there was video here, or if there's audio here, I'm sorry. When he turns around and looks, I don't know if he's looking at you or who he was looking at, but they're like, come on, get your grip. And he turns and goes, he doesn't have shit. And you'll see me look at him and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go. Like everything I got, I'm not hesitating. I'm just putting everything into this one.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a big carve on you.
Yeah, here we go.
Big carve on you, and you open that up big time. Boom. Go back to that real quick. So his knuckles are higher. It looks like barely, maybe not. Maybe you guys are a little even there. Looks like he's got a carve on you. I can't tell about your wrist from this angle, but it looks like it's not great. Looks like it's a little straight or busted back, but it doesn't look like it's carved as much as Greg's is. Looks like Greg is trying a little bit harder than you at this point in the facial expression game.
In the face, yeah.
And then when we're off to the races, you can tell by the way you guys initiate your pull, you guys are both playing the top game.
Yeah.
Who can go up top? And Steve wins. And that's the only reason why you were able to take his wrist so easily is because you got a strong, strong hand.
Thank you, man.
To the pad. Once again, a little bit from here. Maybe let's move it a little bit. No, I just mean like that press. From right here, as soon as you feel open and you know that you've got him, come swing your body back up. And when you do, achieve everything in that hand. So when you come back up, you don't lose anything to come back to his way. But when you start to come back to center, make sure you got all that hand and just, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
connect,
drive it.
Yeah. Or another hit top roll, or like I was saying, on a press.
Right. Press, yeah.
Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. Okay. This is from the Larry Wheels pool.
Yeah.
So this is like your first super match ever.
First super match. Yep. Easy versus Cali. Shout out to all those guys that drove 10 hours out here.
Shout out to Josh Edwards. Now, this is bad reffing by me. It's a little bit of a carve on you. A little bit of carve there.
You will tell me to carve out.
Now, do I? No, I guess I don't. Maybe I do a little bit, but at this point, it looks like he's trying to shoot in for a hook with you, and your hand's too much. Because for what he would have to do is he'd have to roll you over, and that he's got to go through that hand to do so. So we'll watch again. He's in real tight position. He's looking good in his setup. His setup looks better than yours.
Yeah. Going back to you saying watching film, not knowing this guy at all. I went onto his channel. I watched him.
Yeah.
You could tell he stays super tight, super over the table.
Yeah.
And I just knew that I had to take his wrist and hand from the get to make sure that he couldn't just press me down.
Nice lat drag, nice elbow to lat drag there you got going. And then it's a matter of you kind of drop down there. And the reason too is to get the height on his hand. Boom, just like that. And then a finish, beautiful finish. You probably could have just swung it all the way, but it's a comfort thing. You do it out of comfort. It was beautiful. Sure. Beautiful win. Back when Steve had hair. I think he was complaining about an elbow foul there, but at the same time as the win. So you can see he slams pretty hard, and his elbow comes off. Steve's elbow comes off there while he did them, but it was at the same time as the pin vertically. So We move along. I think I don't know if that was round 1 or round 2 or what, but
that was 2.
Okay, this is we're in a wrist grip. It looks like. Close your thumbs. Oops. Taking too long. Hurry up, John. Same thing as the round before. Too much hand and wrist control from the go, even in the setup. Just took away from him. Another thing that you'll notice here, maybe it's his style of pulling, but look how much of your thumb is available. Look how much thumb you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was grabbing pretty low.
Yeah, if you could get that every time, goodness, you'd be in good shape. Yeah, easy wins. Easy wins. What else we got on here? Oh no! This wasn't supposed
to be. This is great.
So no, what I love about this is there's no audio, like you said, but you can see Steve kind of opening his fingers and kind of like not comfortable here. Now, a little backstory. I believe, I don't remember who it was. I don't remember who the opponent was, but I think you had just got off the table.
So
maybe it was Greg. I think it was Greg.
No, Greg was first. I got off the table. They brought me back to the table before I even sat down, and then I won. Then they brought me back to the table before I sat down, and it was Jesse, and Jesse beat me, and then this is us. And you took me out too. I think you took me off faster than Jesse did.
Yeah, I was going to say, and I knew you had arm wrestled someone prior, and I kind of told you, I made a joke. I was like, man, let me rest, but I was like, no, chill.
Yeah.
But in the match, he says, he's like, and you can watch it on Utah. I'm not going to go to Utah, but you can go watch it on Utah State Arm Wrestling channel. Shout out to Utah State, everybody out there. And you can hear him say, I don't have my grip or what I want, but fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
And that's another reason why I brought this match up is don't ever do that again.
I will never do that again.
Don't ever do that again.
My wife laughs at me sometimes, man, because I watch these videos even now, like even weeks later, I'm still watching them because it's educational, and she's like, you've watched that thing like 50 times. I'm like, I know, but I keep on finding small errors that I made throughout the match and before the match even started where I'm trying. Your hand's much longer than mine, and we're in the strap like right from the get. You were basically telling me before the match started like that you were going to slip out, and we both kind of slowly slipped, and you're like, just go to the strap. And I'm like, yeah, let's do that. So we did. Very respectful. And then we get in it and I'm like, I can't get my fingers over his hand.
Yeah.
And again, thank you for being so educational on this, because after the match, you were willing to come over, sit down with me and answer what I could do differently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
and,
that was cool.
And obviously it's one thing in retrospect, like we said before, your mind's racing. You just came off the table. There's high stakes. I think it was for like the third place match. You know what I mean? And the winner goes to the finals. Mm-hmm. We had both already taken a loss at that point. So it's high stakes. You're not really thinking too much, but that's the point when you go stand in the corner, close your eyes, take a deep breath and collect yourself and say, this is what the fuck I got to do. Shout out to Greg. Ready to lose.
What's up, buddy?
Greg, you better be taking that Canelo carne asada, player. You better be injecting them cow hormones, player. It was Jesse, then me, pretty much within like a minute and a half. So he says, I don't have my grip and what I want, but fuck it. Now, the reason I say don't say that is because what you can do at that point is you can just keep fucking with me. And keep fucking with me and keep fucking with me to the point where we got to go to a ref script.
Right. Because I thought about that after the match.
That's what you want. For someone that has a stronger hand, you want to be in a ref script, because most likely in a regular grip up you're going to win if you have the stronger hand. And what had happened is you didn't, because you were taxed. But we go to a ref script, now we both got to open our hands, we're relaxed a little bit, they're squaring our shoulders, gives you even a little bit more time to recover. And then at that point we have to get a fair grip from the referee and not from each other. I mean, I could tell you right now, I had manipulated the strap. I was cheating my ass off. I was doing everything I can, regardless of how tired you were. You know what I mean? But that eliminates all that. We go to the ref script. So don't say, oh, fuck it. Keep fucking with me. You know what I mean? Until we get to the ref script, and then we're there.
Definitely a humbling experience. And again, all props to you on that match. Your experience really showed, for sure. And I will never do that again.
So right here is what Steve's talking about. We know we're going to slip. So I say to him, you want to slip? He goes, yep. Okay, so we let go. And then we'll fast forward to the straps. So that's perfect right there. So you'll notice, I want to go back a little bit further. So from right about here. Oh, no, I'm jumping around from the recorded video. Now, I have a huge carve. Okay, here we go. Here's the start. Okay, so I've manipulated the strap from right here. Because you can see my shoulder angle cutting down into the right side of the pad. I've kind of grabbed your thumb, and then you'll see me start to adjust out now. And now I've kind of manipulated that pronation to where it doesn't really matter how your fingers lay. It's not your fingers that are uncomfortable, it's your wrist, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So at this point, the ref should be like, dude, you got to come big out. No, I'm flat now, but before I was big time carved. And that's when you just got to be like looking at the ref. Jesse does a great job of this in the very first, in our final championship match. I have everything I need against Jesse before we go to a ref script, and he looks at me, he's like, I got no bite, and he looks at the ref and he's like looking desperation, like, what do I do? What do I do? And so he brings his elbow up and like reaches across and he does all this garbage, and the ref's like, whoa, you can't do this. And then we're in a ref script. Right. And then Jesse wins. Right? Yeah. But if we would have said ready, go, my goodness, I would have ripped that dude's thumb off. So once again, and here we're pretty even for the most part. If you would have stayed connected to your lat, elbow to your lat, we could have probably been in it together. I think the only reason why you gave up on maybe right there. Never mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I start dropping, and my arm is staying where it was. It wasn't coming with me.
And then you can see as I start to roll here, a little bit of the wrist going back there. And I think that was from just being taxed, man. Because, you stay connected to yourself with the elbow to the lat here instead of opening up and coming away from the table. You might be able to kind of rock back like this and get a little bit of height on me. And then now we're fighting for the high game again. I think you from the get-go, even from ready go, you had the height on me. Maybe not. But I'm not really a height guy. I'm more of a because I'm a low hand top roller. I'm more of a like I'm feeling things. I'm not. I mean, the high game is important. Don't get me wrong, but not really where I'm going. So
right.
Okay, so let's finish that. Wrist gets cocked back. And then from there is when I hit.
Yeah, you see your body transition from right to left and then straight down. That was beautiful, dude.
So I do this a lot on my right, but what I could have done better would have been right there, right before I go, would have been driving that elbow inside my body at the front of the pad. To gain a little bit of height. But the thing is, I'm thinking now in retrospect, I don't think I could. I think you were too strong for me to shoot up, rise, and then hit. So I was like, fuck it. I see his wrist going back. I'm going to just hit and see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And sure enough.
You got it.
Then we'll go. We already saw that match. You saw all those. Okay, cool. So that was all of them, man.
Nice, man.
That was extremely impressive.
Thank you, buddy.
Showing in both tournaments, not only Utah, but Battle of the Brave Man. I think that we all got our works cut out from us at 200 pounds.
Absolutely.
I think the best is yet to come. Obviously, with this new table and pulley system and everything you got going, you're not allowed at any of my practices anymore. I'm just kidding. No, man, I'm looking forward to it. I got this match with Greg here in April, and then after that, I would love to test the waters with you a little bit and see where we're at.
For sure.
We haven't gotten a chance too much.
And, no, just small practices here and there, not pulling 100%, especially on your end. I know that, you don't try to kill nobody.
No.
And obviously we have Arizona State coming up. I mean, I don't know if it's in June or July, but that's my focus right now. I would love to make the April 15th, not only to have a super match of my own, but to watch you and Greg, to watch other big names. I know that Edo has a match, I believe, or is it Edo that has a match?
Tony have a match. Brandon and Dustin have a match.
Yeah.
I have a match with Greg, and there's a bunch of other smaller, littler matches. Oh, Tito has a match with Ed.
Okay, that's going to be a good one to watch for sure. All of them seem like great matches, man. I'd love to make it. Unfortunately, I have an obligation. My daughter's 16th birthday, so I got to be there for that. But yeah, man, definitely going to be training for AZ State.
Yeah, that's, I think, next for a lot of people's agenda. It's the next big tournament happening here in Arizona. A few of us might do some traveling out of state to like the California tournaments prior to, whether we can get to a East versus West qualifier, get Joseph's butt out there to a East versus West qualifier here in the nation. But regardless, it is a beautiful time to be an arm wrestler in Arizona. There is so much growth. There's so many people like Steve, I feel like, that are just right around the corner that we don't even know. And so thank you very much, brother, for coming on and sharing your time with me. Thank
you for having me, bro. Appreciate it very much.
Yeah, dude, you're a killer. I cannot wait to train with you and to get on the table with you. Speaking of which, anybody that's in Arizona, we're having a practice on Sunday. It'll be at noon, 12 o'clock. I got like 3 tables so far, so it'll be a good practice. I can't do it Saturday, the normal day. I got some plans with the family, so we will be doing Sunday instead. Awesome. But Steve, you're more than welcome to come out if you got some time.
Cool, man.
Other than that, bro, we will sign off and see you later. Thanks everybody for tuning in and loving on, giving Steve some love. Share this video, everybody.
Absolutely, guys. Sign out, guns out.
All right, boys. Be good.